Hello, my dear friends. I want you to imagine yourselves as part of a great throng of people gathered together on a beautiful hillside, green grass, rolling hills. And you are there because you've heard of someone who's going to speak, and you're really anxious to hear what is being said. But the problem is, you've brought nothing with you to eat and you're starving. Well, of course, that's the premise of the miracle of the feeding of the 5,000. And we hear this Sunday John's account of it. It's the only one of the miracles which appears in all four Gospels. John, of course, calls them signs. And we get, I think, a vivid understanding of that from the way that he tells it from his own perspective. This wonderful green hillside, the people, then this boy coming with 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, and then this abundance or overabundance of food which is provided for all of that crowd until their hungers are satisfied, so much so that they gather up baskets full of leftovers. And it's a very touching and wonderful account, isn't it? But of course, it has lots of very, very deep resonances. It talks about the restoration of the people Israel. It talks about a new way of looking at life and this sense of being fed by God. And ultimately, of course, Jesus gives us the one command which sits with the call to baptize, which is to take bread and wine and to do this in memory or remembrance of him. So when we gather around the table, that is when we are closest, I think, to following what the Lord calls us to do. There's been a lot of talk about freedom this week. Freedom Day. Well, that came and went, and it was a bit of a damp squib, wasn't it? But we all understand how difficult it is at this time to try to make sense of the way forward. But the one thing I'm absolutely confident of is that through faith in Jesus Christ, we have the ultimate freedom. And our call is to proclaim this. This is the greatest news for humanity. This is true freedom. When people are rooted and grounded in love, as the writer of the letter to the Ephesians says this Sunday, a wonderful, wonderful passage that talks of this love. Let me just read you a bit of it. I pray that according to the riches of his glory, he may grant that you may be strengthened in your inner being with power through his Spirit, and that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith, as you are being rooted and grounded in love. I pray that you may have the power to comprehend with all the saints what is the breadth and length and height and depth, and to know the love of Christ that surpasses knowledge, so that you may be filled with all the fullness of God. The fullness of God. That is what is offered us through Jesus Christ. And when we gather around the table, whether we do it online or within our church buildings, that is when we get that sense of being connected. We're connected to each other as brothers and sisters, as the body of Christ. And we're connected to God through the self-giving love of Jesus Christ, a dynamic of love. So there we are, just a few thoughts. Do join us for worship this coming Sunday, 8 o'clock and 9:45. The 9:45 will be live streamed on Zoom via the church website, www.holytrinitycookfield.org. We're relaxing a lot of the regulations for church going. We're allowing people to have the freedom to make their own choices about face masks and about singing. But we recognise that we want people to feel safe when they come to church. So just bear that in mind. But whether you join us within the building or online, we would love to have you with us. Remember that we are called to grow in the knowledge of our being rooted and grounded in the love which God reveals through Jesus Christ. And that is the greatest freedom for all humanity. Now, my dear friends, have a great weekend. Don't know what the weather promises. It's certainly hot at the moment, but it's been lovely talking to you, and I hope that you'll join us for worship. Okay, God bless.